Hello, Empowered Warriors. Welcome to episode 9. In this episode, I get all into the process of hiding, the ins and the outs, and everything in between. As you may or may not already know, I am not only a people pleaser in recovery, I'm also a recovering hider. And all of that, warriors, is tied to self-worth. And when self-worth is low, it is nearly impossible to show up as your brightest, most beautiful self and serve the world in a way that is unique to you while earning what you are worth. Now, I am recording this rather late in the evening as I am on vacation and spent the entire day at the beach, so you may notice that I sound a little more tired than usual. But bear with me because I am really pretty stoked about this episode today, and I promise it will be one worth listening to. I know many of you listen to podcasts while on the move, especially while driving or working out. But in order to really get the most out of this podcast today, I invite you to re-listen to this a second or third time in quiet reflection and take plenty of notes. And please post any takeaways on Instagram and tag me at I am Angela Noel. I hope this episode moves you to be closer to the empowered warrior that you know that you are. Welcome to the Empowered Warrior Podcast. My name is Angela Noel, and I am an intuitive coach, acupuncturist, and Chinese herbalist. This podcast is all about empowerment, meaning how you can maintain your personal power in order to have the best life beyond your imagination. An empowered warrior is someone who has the identity of a person who is healthy, radiant, and free from all suffering, and has the tools ready and available to move through life's obstacles with confidence, ease, and a sense of freedom. In this podcast, I bring over 16 years experience in Chinese medicine, countless years of self-development, and a passion for helping others find their personal power. I will be discussing just a few of my favorite topics regarding health from a Chinese medicine perspective, brain habits, and spirituality, so that you can quickly pave your pathway to freedom and be free from the chains that have kept you stuck. My intention with this podcast is to serve as a guide for warriors who want to form a healthy foundation of body, mind, and spirit, and sustain it by changing who they are being from the inside and having a stronger connection to their higher selves. My goal is to help students end the unnecessary suffering that they place on themselves by having poor health habits, negative thought loops, and a lack of self-worth. I am so happy that you're here. Hello, empowered warriors. So I polled my Instagram audience before the release of the podcast back in May of this year, and they told me that they were really interested in learning more about hiding. I speak about it every now and then on my social media accounts because perhaps you already know it is something that is more common than many of us realize. And I believe that hiding is one of the ways that many people who want to achieve more keep themselves stuck in every aspect of their lives. Perhaps you remember me speaking about hiding in previous episodes, where I gave you a glimpse into my history with hiding and how it affected my life in a very negative and at times serious way. Today, I'd like to really take a deep dive and talk to you about hiding and have you know that hiding is way more than just physical hiding. For example, hiding purchases from your spouse, hiding from social situations by avoiding them out of fear and anxiety, hiding your true self by minimizing your accomplishments. This is just to name a few. The fact that you were inclined to press play today must mean that at least some part of you is curious about hiding. Perhaps you believe that you are a hider, or you suspect that you are a hider. Am I right? And do you have a sense of the degree that you hide? If you're like most people, you might have at least a sense that you are a hider. In doing a quick Google search, I found that 20% of people hide money, credit cards, or bank accounts from their partner. That's 1 out of 5 people. And I'm mentioning this because this was actually a stat that was easy to find on the internet. And knowing how common hiding money and purchases are from partners, I can't even imagine how common the other type of hiding is. It's the kind of hiding that affects decisions that we make every day. It's the hiding that plays out in how we treat ourselves, our businesses, and other people. It's the hiding that can really prevent a couple from thriving instead of just being mediocre. It's the hiding that can make your life miserable, boring, lacking passion, and lacking clarity. I have no idea how many people on this planet hide in this particular way, but based on the work that I do with my clients, the conversations that I have in my everyday life, and in my personal experience, I am willing to guess that it is mostly everyone. I mean, it's a ton of people, y'all. So I'm wondering if you're getting tired of the lead up already. Do you want me to just tell you what I'm talking about? Okay, I'll tell you, warriors. It is this. Are you ready? It's the kind of hiding we do in our energy. That's right. Hiding in your energy. You may or you may not know what that means, so I will explain. Let me tell you a little story. I know I have revealed my story a little with you already about my journey with hiding, but if it's okay, I'd love to share with you more about my experience with hiding, and hopefully it will help you gain some perspective. As my coach Jim Fortin says, what's most personal is most general. So I might get personal. I might get raw. I'm honestly not sure how this is going to come out. So, hiding. About 3 months or so ago, I got called out by a mentor of mine about how I need to stop hiding, that I needed to show up more and put myself out there. I have to admit, I was taken aback by this comment. After all, I was showing up. I did my Facebook Lives. I got my content out every week. And I myself am in a few business and coaching groups. I show up to all of my personal coaching calls every week. In fact, as a person who has been a hider in my physical world for all of my life, I was an extremely shy child and often hid in social events. I enjoyed social events, but I've always been very uncomfortable just being myself. Hint, people pleaser. I was a huge people pleaser. So recently, I was really convinced that I was showing up more than ever, and I felt really proud of that. But after some time letting this all sink in, really allowing this to sink in, I started to get it. I started to see it. I started to understand what my mentor was talking about. He saw it in my energy. And then I got it. I totally saw it in myself. Because even though I was doing all the things, checking the boxes, following through with what I said I was going to do, going to all the meetings, asking a lot of questions on my video meetings, I was out of alignment. I was still working from that place of fear of being seen, fearing what other people would think of me if I show up fully in my power. I was hiding energetically. It may or may not sound a little tough to wrap your head around this hiding energetically thing, but I will explain it as best as I can, and I invite you to listen to this episode more than once and perhaps even take notes if you aren't driving. I really feel like this topic is so important and is a huge and foundational sign of low self-worth, which is kind of my jam right now and how I help struggling entrepreneurs attract wealth. So first, I'll need to get a little personal here because this part is foundational to my hiding experience. It does involve other people, so I won't get too into the nitty-gritty, but it's important for me to explain the foundational aspect because it affected every aspect of my life as long as it remained unaddressed. You may or may not know that I'm married, and I've been married for almost 9 years, and I've been with my husband for 15 years. One of the issues that has come up for me often in my marriage and in relationships in general is speaking up. Speaking up for what I want, speaking what is on my mind, and setting boundaries with him, myself, and others. And you probably already know that when you are not holding firm boundaries with yourself first, it affects all other aspects of your life. So I had loose boundaries around everything. I often didn't ask for what I wanted in my marriage out of fear that we would get in an argument. And I hated arguing. I also learned recently that I have been addicted to the struggle and the hard of life since forever. I chose to be a victim instead of owning my power and being comfortable being uncomfortable and saying those hard things and asking for what I wanted. And how you show up in one area of your life is how you show up in other areas of your life. Is it not? Knowing that how you do one thing is usually how you do all things. I began to see what my mentor meant when he said I wasn't showing up in my business. I looked at how I was in my marriage. I was afraid to be vulnerable. I was afraid of saying the hard things. I was afraid of me showing up 100% in my marriage. And as you may or may not be able to see at this point, this fear of showing up authentically in my personal life affected how I was showing up in my business. And when I fully saw that, and I felt that, and learned how to really understand that, I was able to make a choice. I knew that I wanted to upgrade my life. And as far as I was concerned, my life was good. But I wanted more. I refused to live a mediocre life when I knew I had gifts and talents that were, at this point, screaming and begging to come out. And as I started to really see this part of me, how I was hiding it for so long, it became obvious that the only way to solve this problem was to take action. But not just any action, because I was taking action, as I explained earlier, by doing all the things, by checking all the boxes, by crossing things off the to-do list. I used to think that a good day was a day when I was productive, meaning I wrote out a to-do list and got everything done, often in a very frazzled, frenzied kind of way. It usually involved copious amounts of caffeine, and I was working at a speed that was unnatural for any human to work in. I would have like 1 or 2 of those days every 2 weeks, or sometimes every month. And for an entrepreneur with big goals, obviously, that is not enough or sustainable. But I was relying on all the ducks to be in a row for the right amount of caffeine to give me that buzz I needed in order to be productive without being too jumpy or too crazy, and it had to match my energy and my mood at the same time. In other words, I was depending on outside forces, the caffeine, and for my physical body to put up with all the demands I was putting on it to get lots and lots of things done that day. Can anyone out there relate to this? And because it was totally unnatural to be working from this place, I would often crash and burn after. I'd be exhausted because I probably wrecked my adrenals from all the stimulation from the caffeine and was compounded by that ultra quick pace that was super unnatural. And I know I'm not alone here, am I not? The reason I'm not alone is because this rushed, very masculine or yang way of being is very much the norm in our society. We are rewarded not by being our true self, for resting, for saying no, but by keeping up in this rat race we call life. You want to know why we as women are often exhausted and feeling depleted? It's because we work from this masculine way of being. We feel we need to keep up, to multitask, to take care of, quote, all the things. That's the behavior, the way of being that gets rewarded in our society. You know, those women who other women look up to, those women who, quote, get it all done and are still happy and bubbly, the women who other women say, how does she do it all? For me personally, the key concept here is forcing. Forcing and not allowing. And forcing is what got me into serious trouble. I forced putting things out there in the business without fully aligning with my authentic self, and it affected my life and my business. Because as you probably already know by now, if you've been following me for a while, when you are an entrepreneur, it is almost necessary to align with yourself if you want to be successful. Your business is a reflection of who you are being. So if you are hiding in your life, it will show up in your business. The clients that I work with come to me because they are usually successful entrepreneurs earning 6 figures, but they have plateaued in their earning potential. They know that there is something missing in themselves that is prohibiting them from going to that next level, and almost always it is an issue that is rooted in lack of self-worth. And like I said before, self-worth issues show up as hiding, both physically and energetically, not speaking up, not being aligned with your truest potential, lack of self-confidence, settling for less than what you deserve, foregoing what you want in favor of the crowd, and so on and so on and so on. Can you relate to this? The fact that you're still listening to this episode most likely means that you realize that you are starting to see that you are hiding, not earning your full potential, or you're living out of alignment with your higher self. Am I right? If this is you, I'd love for you to imagine what it would be like if you stopped hiding and really tuned in to your self-worth. Who are you anyway? And what is it that you can bring to the world that will make the world a better place? For me, it is certainly a work in progress. Like I've mentioned many times previously, I am a people pleaser in recovery. I work on my self-worth every day by practicing self-hypnosis, journaling, and reading inspirational books. And I know in my audience, I know I am not alone here. We tend to be attracted to people with similar stories, and I tend to attract heart center business owners who want to make an impact, but know that they need to come out of hiding and to love themselves, plain and simple. So today's takeaway is this: are you a hider? And if so, how are you hiding? Check your energy. Are you hiding energetically? And I really invite you to really sit with your journal or in meditation and ask your higher self these questions. And please don't do this while driving. I'm wondering if by really taking a deep look within yourself and asking the questions, how quickly you will be able to move out of hiding and start showing up for good in your life and in your business. I could tell you how amazing it is to do this work, how your life, business, and money situation will almost shift immediately when you really start to dive in. But I won't. And I say this with love. I will let you discover that for yourself. And until next time, warriors, I wish you a life of health, happiness, prosperity, and abundance. Because you deserve it. Because the world needs your genius. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Empowered Warrior podcast. It is an honor and a privilege to have you as a listener. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast and would like to help others pave their pathway to freedom, end their disempowerment and suffering, and become an empowered warrior, please share this podcast with your friends and family. Also, it is my intention to help humanity grow and evolve to their highest potential. So if you really enjoy what you're hearing, please help me spread the word by leaving a review in iTunes. Thank you again, and I am so grateful to be able to serve you in this very exciting way.